This is how to find and analyze real estate development deals. Why listen to me? I've managed multifamily apartments. I was a former analyst for some corporate brokerages, and I've done some transactions. I have a master's in real estate development, a certificate in urban planning, and a bachelor's in both finance and economics. So, for the criteria of development, we typically look at four different things. One, is it physically possible? Two, is it legally permissible? Three, is it financially feasible? And four, is it the highest and best use? So for today, we're just going to be going over physically possible and legally permissible. We're not going to get into the financially feasible. And we're going to go ahead and start by identifying a parcel, checking on zoning and city plans, and then seeing if it's an actual valid development that we can do. So let's go over here to our Google Maps. This is typically where I start. It's one of the ways to start. It's not the only way, but I like to see it because you can see some green plots of land every so often. Like down here, you can say, oh yeah, look, there's a giant open area. I wonder who owns that, and see if there's something that you can actually develop there. Or sometimes you can come up here and see some more green areas. But the area that I was looking at, it's right down here. This is the point of the mountain. So you can't really see it, but this mountain kind of comes down along this ridge. Down here you have what's called Silicon Slopes. There are a lot of tech companies down here, and this is just a giant undeveloped parcel of land. And here, I wanted to go ahead and take a little bit more of a deeper dive at it because I think it has a lot of potential. Now, what kind of potential? Well, that's yet to be determined. So what I usually do is I go over to Lehigh City, so the city website, and I start looking through some of their maps to kind of see what they have going on. In this case, I already have pulled up here the Lehigh Planning and Zoning map. And so right here, so this is the curve, that road, that weird little shape that it makes right here. And right here, you have the zoning is TH-5. I have no idea what that is. Typically, they'll have, between municipalities, there'll be similar codes that, like commercial, like this one right here is commercial. That C stands for commercial. But something like this is TH5. I don't know what that is, so that we're going to have to read a little bit more into the code of what that actually means. And then you have right over here, it looks like you have a TOD. TOD stands for Transit Oriented Development. And then down there you have public facilities. And all of these are just different ways to understand what the city is wanting to do with this land. I forgot to mention that some of the things that we're going to be looking at doing is looking at the city zoning, future plans, city utility lines, flood maps, transit-oriented developments, and then land ownership. So if we look over here, we try to dig a little bit more into this city zoning code, finding some more information here. This is the table of uses. This tells you what you can or cannot build on the land, right? So we were seeing that there was a commercial there, so that would be C. And then we can go through and see what is permitted. That is what the P stands for. And then what is not permitted is blank. And then you have some of these that are C's, right? That means it's conditional. And all of this is down here in the footnotes. So if, for example, I was looking at putting, let's say a bakery, right? Retail bakery there. Oh, perfect. That's permitted. I should be able to do that with very little issues with the city, right? Because that's already something they're going to allow. Then we're going to go over here. Since I don't see up here at the top, I don't see any TH5. So I'm going to go up here and check the establishment of zones. So this is this is the definition of each one of them, right? So down here you have commercial. Just gives you like a little description of what it is, but doesn't tell you what you can actually build on it. As for the TH5, that's going to be this right here. That's going to be transitional holding. For this, it looks like it's primarily just, there's no water that's given to this area. So the utilities don't quite reach up to there, which means that that's going to be an issue, right? We can't get water up there, so we're going to have to find another way to get water through there. And I did speak with the city about this, trying to do some due diligence on this. And so looking at the map up here, since there's no water for this place, And in order to get it rezoned, we're going to have to bring water to it. The only place that has water that's close enough is on the west side of the freeway. So that means we're going to have to bring water utilities from here, dig a big old hole underneath the freeway, and bring it to the parcel. And I have another picture of that right over here. So here's a freeway. So this is I-15. On the other side of that is where the utilities are. And in this case, we'd be needing to take a big old hole and drill right underneath that land to bring the utilities and tie them here. Now the city says that they can bring power up here fairly easy, so that shouldn't be an issue on this side. But as for the water and sewage, I believe that that just needs to be a giant expensive hole to be dug underneath the freeway. And that's going to be something that we're going to need to bring in a contractor, a specialized contractor, to give us an estimate for that. Now, if we go to the future land use, this is going to give us an idea of what they would like to see here. And click view the map. So something like this is going to give us a better idea of how we can talk with the city and what our expectations are for what they want to see here. It hasn't been finalized yet, but let's see, right here, this is mixed use. So they're going to want some sort of mixed use here. Commercial, we saw that already. This is transit-oriented development. Again, transit-oriented development. So it looks like a lot of this is going to be very specific to high density, right? Typically, developers really like high density because we can cram more units into one area and allow for more people to live in that space and cohabitate and whatnot. So that's good to know. For whatever reason, the utility lines, I don't know why the website's not pulling up here. I can't see anything with regards to anywhere, right? No water lines, no power lines, no anything. So I don't know how I'd be able to find that out other than by calling the city and seeing if I can get some more specific information about that. Something else I like to look up is usually a FEMA map. So this is the flood map that tells me whether or not that the flood is going to be likely to happen in this area. And usually what I like to do for this is I like to use it because, not so much because I'm worried about flooding. I mean, obviously you should be, but it gives you a good idea of how much insurance is going to be, right? So like in these like little waterways right down here, these areas are going to be a standard kind of you got the little legend down here. So this is regulatory floodway, right? Usually the areas outside of it, the little blue area, that's typically going to be something where insurance companies are going to say no, or it's going to be really expensive to get. And then these orange areas are going to be more of a less than 2%, 0.2% chance of flooding. But if we go up here, we're going to scroll on up and find a little parcel. Click on it. Highlights area. Looks like we have some flooding over here, but we don't really have anything here. So we're good on that end. That's really good to know. And then, this is also really good to know. So this is a map for the proposed tracks corridor and station location. So UDOT is the Department of Transportation for Utah. And what we want to see is where are they putting stations, right? And this is proposed. So again, it's not solidified, but it's really good to know because they have future plans for putting a tracks right through down here. So public transit. And one of those areas is, you can see kind of that curve in the road. That's going to be the transit area. So back over here where we're looking at right here, that TOD area. So it's going to be this area right here. So buying specifically in this area and working with UDOT in order to build something that would pair very well with transit-oriented development would be a good idea, especially. And this shouldn't always be the case, but typically developers try to argue lower parking count so they don't have to put as many parking stalls in a development, because they say that there's going to be more public transit riders that are going to be living there, so they don't need a car. But that's not always the case, as I found. let's see. So now my question is, who owns this parcel? Is this going to be something that they're going to want to sell? I know previously that this was owned by the, let's see. So this is sorry, I should start off with this. Utah County parcel map. This is, most counties have something like this in every state. I've looked at some in New Jersey and North Carolina. We're going to go to have an aerial map. Gives me a better idea of where this parcel is. Here we go. So I know previously this was owned by the owner of Qualtrics. So a billionaire guy, he wanted to build out a tech city and have like a basketball sports team here or something like that. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have gone through. So it is now instead owned by, let's see, Peter Lynn Robbins. Yep. Oh, this is owned by Vertex. Don't know who that is, but then again, that's something we can do a little bit more research on as well. So this is owned by Parks and Rec, Geneva, City of Lehigh. So it definitely looks like they're going to do some sort of TOD there. What's that up there? Parsons. Oh, interesting. So Peter Robbins owns that and owns this. Huh. So essentially with that, you can kind of find out who they are and then start diving a little bit deeper into whether or not you can get their contact information from, let's say, White Pages is a good place to search. If you want to get their phone number or if you want to find their address to send them a letter. If you're having troubles, because let's say, for example, this parcel up here is owned by Stockholm Parson Companies, you can always go to the Utah Business Registry and you can start looking up different information about who owns, or what is a parcel. So if you go down here to search business entity, and then you can start typing in whatever the entity is that you're looking for, and then when you search it, you can pull up the specific company and start doing a little bit deeper dive into who actually owns the parcel, and eventually you can find a name that you can start searching. So anyway, that's the beginning of my due diligence on just trying to find out if this is a parcel worth developing, if it's legally permissible. Obviously, the physically possible, you just kind of look at it and see if it's doable. If it's built on the side of a cliff, or if it is a cliff, it's not going to be very feasible to do that. But this is kind of my process, just starting out, just to see whether or not this is going to work. I know with a lot of AI tools, this is going to become more irrelevant, but I think it's important just to understand and see, how does this work? Right? How does it work on the back end? Where are you finding this information and making sure that you understand how to put this information together and you're not just relying on AI that hallucinates. So hope you like this. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I'd love to answer them. Very interested in just trying to help you out, and let me know. Thanks.